Hey friends, it is Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the DeathWatch I'm bringing back on the channel to fight some filthy Xenos Necrons. So, the big news in the world of DeathWatch. I know we're a couple weeks after the fact, but DeathWatch did win the LVO, probably the biggest LVO there's ever been, so the biggest singles tournament there's ever been for 40K. So welcome back, DeathWatch. At the end of this video, I will talk a little bit about how I feel about that. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that here. I'm going to get into my list and some things. I'm trying some goofy stuff today, trying to mix things up a little bit, trying a few things out. I don't think this is going to be the most competitive DeathWatch build, but this past weekend I played in a little RTT at Recess in North Olmsted. I lost my first game and then won two, so I went 2-1, but was really struggling with the primary game because I built an all-killy DeathWatch list. It was 2 Indomitor kill teams, 2 Talon Strikes, 2 Terminator squads, Thunderstrike Speeder. Definitely had a lot of hitting power, and I was never disappointed with the amount of damage I was able to put out. But I played against a couple armies, Votan with all their scout moves, 6 Sagittars with scout moves, and a couple of the Pioneer Jet Bike squads that had all the scout moves. And then I played against a Marine list. They used Vanguard, so they had the infiltrating enhancement on one of the characters, and they had a bunch of infiltrating scout squads and infiltrators and all sorts of stuff. So they really had a lot of board control early on. And even though I did win that game, I lost to the Votan and won against the Marines. It was a challenge for the Uppy Downy DeathWatch to get on to objectives. The DeathWatch vets are good for that because they can advance and charge the Watchmaster and get out there and mix it up and do some damage. And they're OC2, but they are just, 2 wound, toughness 4 Marines that will die pretty quickly to any amount of fire. So that was the challenge this past weekend. So I'm pushing in the opposite direction. We've got less damage output today, but more ways to get in the middle of the table and get on objectives. That means for the first time, not just in this in this new index, but the first time in all of 10th edition, I am running a Spectrus Kill Team. Because the Spectrus Kill Team does have Infiltrate and a Scout move, so we're going to throw them out there. We're also going to give them a Phobos Lieutenant, and I'm even going to give that Phobos Lieutenant an enhancement, and we're going to see if we can make the Spectrus Kill Team work. Really, I think the damage output on the Spectrus Kill Team is not really there for how many points it is. It's 200 points. There's not a lot of damage output for it, but their bolters do get the improvements that the other kill teams get for their bolters. So most of their bolt guns go to strength 5, AP 1. Still just 1 damage, so not like the 2 damage ones in the Indomitor kill team. But at least it gives their damage output in shooting a little bit of a plus. So I'm not hoping that they rule the world and blow up all the tanks and kill all the Satans and take down Angron and all that kind of stuff. But they're going to mark out a spot on the board before the game starts to kind of block out my opponent from scout moving and infiltrating into that area. So it gives me more room to uppy downy and more room to deep strike. And just with the number of close combat attacks, because several of the profiles in the Spectrus Kill Team have AP 1. Now, the Incursors and the Reavers, they have AP 1 on their attacks. And because their bolters are a little bit better, because they're DeathWatch versions of the bolters, they go the strength 5 and the AP 1. They can actually kind of tussle with most small infiltrating units. They should. There's 200 points for 10 of them, plus the character. And like I said, I'm putting an enhancement in there. So they should be able to tussle the stuff in the mid-board. But the addition of the infiltrate and the scout move, and the fact that they can move, shoot stuff, and then the Phobos Lieutenant's going to let them move an extra D6 inches, and then they can still charge, means they're going to be able to shoot 1 unit and then charge another unit and hopefully do some damage, probably wreck both of those units. So we'll get into the specific loadout I chose today. Probably talk about it after we go through the actual list. Other than that, we've got 2 DeathWatch veteran squads to get them out in the middle of the table. We got 2 Terminator squads to get on objectives and hold them. And we only have 2 units that are really doing the damage, an Indominator Kill Team and a Talon Strike. So let's go through the actual list, go through it piece by piece, see what kind of enhancements I have there. I got some special shenanigans that I came up with that we're going to be doing. So here it is. Here's the actual DeathWatch Black Spear Detachment, Black Spear Task Force army that we're running today. All right, like I said, this is 1,995 points of DeathWatch in their DeathWatch specific detachment, the Black Spear Task Force. We do have 5 characters today. We have a jump pack captain with the Tome of Ectoclades. So the jump pack captain is going to be leading the Talon Strike. I need a jump pack captain because I have other plans for the Indominator Kill Team as far as a character attachment there. So we have the captain. We need a captain that's going to have the Tome of Ectoclades. I could give it to the Watchmaster, but he's probably going to be starting turn in the transport, and I don't want to risk him dying because he's kind of a missile that goes out and dies. So we definitely need that to be on a captain. And the Tome of Ectoclades now, it gives us once per game, we pick 2 targets, and we have 2 Oath of Moment targets, which is very handy for killing lots of things, which is what we want to do. The tome now, you can use it when you're off the table. So you cannot be in a transporter, but your captain who's carrying it can be in reserves, in deep strike, or if you uppy downy him, if you picked up his unit, it's okay. You can still use it even if it's off the table. Of course, the jump pack captain gives his unit +1 strength when they charge. If that Talon Strike makes a charge from deep strike, that means they're going to be hitting extra hard because they naturally get lance. They'll get +1 to their strength from him, +1 AP, which means he'll be hitting pretty hard as well because his strength will go up to 9 on that Power Fist, and it'll be AP 3. You can definitely wreck some things, but that's only if that Talon Strike makes a charge out of deep strike. And I don't want them to get too tied up, so I'm probably not going to be trying to make the charges unless there's a unit I'm pretty sure I can kill. So, yeah, and of course the captain gives us, rights of battle. So once per battle round, he can reduce the cost of the strat used on his unit by 1 CP, and we have great strats for our shooting units like the Talon Strike. Next, we do have a Judiciar, however you want to pronounce that. So this guy's great. He gives his unit fight first, and he has precision himself, so he can precision out a character. So at any time, if he does kill a character, he does get an extra attack the next time he fights, and that can stack multiple times. So if he's just out there chopping up characters, he's going to have a great time. Now, what we're doing with him, I know some people have put the Thief of Secrets on him. We're not doing that. We are putting the Beacon Angelus on him. The Beacon Angelus gives his unit deep strike, and it lets them rapid ingress for free. So my plan is to use this squad defensively. He'll be leading a 5-man of DeathWatch vets. So, of course, they reroll 1s hit naturally and reroll the whole hit roll into the filthy Xenos like these Necrons. But anyways, his squad will be able to deep strike in and rapid ingress for free. So, essentially, if I have them in reserve in deep strike and DJ positions himself so that he can make a charge into one of my other units, we'll save some Scorpec destroyers, the fighty Scorpecs. If he does that, I can rapid ingress them for free. And then when he makes his charge, I can heroically intervene that 1 CP, and then the Judiciar will make his unit fight first. So it's hopefully a very powerful defensive unit to prevent, essentially to be a counter to charges and to counter that charge before they even get to do their attacks, especially because he's going to give those Thunderhammers the fight first, himself the fight first. And I built my DeathWatch veterans to be fully close combat today. So that's what we're going to try with the Judiciar. We're going to see if we get to rapid ingress him and essentially heroic intervene. Usually that'd be kind of expensive. But again, the Beacon Angelus gives us the free rapid ingress. So, yeah, hopefully it'll just be the 1 CP for the heroic intervention. So that's the Judiciar. Next, we do have a Watchmaster. Watchmaster is just running without any enhancements today. He's great with Thief of Secrets, but we all know that. Guys, we know that. I don't need to test that. Is the Watchmaster good with Thief of Secrets? Of course he is. So he lets his unit advance, shoot and charge, fall back, shoot and charge, and he reduces the cost of a strat used on his unit by 1 CP. So he's great. 105 points. He's actually a pretty good deal. He slaps pretty hard in combat. He's got 6 attacks at strength 6. AP2, D3 damage, and he has Lance, And because he has fallback and charge, that guy can just keep falling back and charging and using that lance over and over again. And he is also going to be attached to DeathWatch veterans that are all fighty today. And then we have a lieutenant in Phobos armor. So the lieutenant in Phobos armor is going to be leading the Spectrus Kill Team, the aforementioned Spectrus Kill Team. We know that the Spectrus Kill Team can uppy downy for free. They don't have deep strike when they do their free uppy downy. Obviously, if I use the teleportation strat on them, they would have deep strike. But they can uppy downy for free, and because they infiltrate and scout, I can attach the Phobos Lieutenant to them. So in the game, at the beginning of the game, if I go first, I can move that. I can scout move that unit 6 inches, and then do a regular move, shoot all their guns, and then do another D6 inches move, and then do a charge. There are a few weapons in the Spectrus Kill Teams that will have some AP. Of course, he's going to give them lethal hits because he does that as a lieutenant. So in addition to the extra move after shooting, he does give them lethal hits, both in shooting and fighting. But his extra move, when he allows the unit to move an extra D6 inches after shooting, it does not prevent charging. So it does make them a good charge threat. Now, because of the amount of guns I have in the Spectrus Kill Team, I wanted a little extra close combat punch. So I am doing the dumbest thing possible. And I'm giving the Phobos Lieutenant the Thief of Secrets. So the Phobos Lieutenant, his weapon, his close combat weapon is paired combat blades. So he's got 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, so that's good. He hits on 2s. He does have sustained hits with his close combat, so maybe he'll get an extra 1 or 2. It's only strength 4, AP 1, 1 damage. So Thief is going to get him up to strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage. And if he does successfully kill a model, he's going to go to strength 6, AP 3, 3 damage. I don't know if it's a good idea, guys, but we're here to try some new things and not just do the same things we've been doing over and over again. That basically is going to make this Spectrus Kill Team very expensive, close to 300 points. It's going to be 255, 225, 280. It's very expensive. But they are going to kind of block out. They're going to get some early game board control. They are going to be able to move and kill any other infiltrating units, scout moving units, things that are up in the middle of the table. They'll be able to get in and mess with those. So the Phobos Lieutenant, we're going to make sure that unit can punch. So he's going to let his unit do that punching by giving him the Thief of Secrets. Don't at me, or do at me, whatever. Comments, please. But we'll see how he performs today. We'll see if it's worth it. I don't think it is, but we're going to try it. We're going to put it to the test. And then finally, our last character is a Inquisitor. So the Inquisitors in their data sheet say they can lead DeathWatch kill teams. I believe that is intended to be for the Imperial Agents Codex because the DeathWatch kill team is what they call the DeathWatch veterans in the Imperial Agents Codex. However, every DeathWatch kill team in this book has the keywords DeathWatch and kill team. So, rules as written, Inquisitors can join any DeathWatch kill team. Doesn't make much sense for a foot Inquisitor to join the Talon Strike kill team, the Jumpy Boys. If he joins the Terminators, they can't deep strike initially because he doesn't have deep strike. Although when they uppy downy, he does give the unit deep strike, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense there. But I'm going to be joining him. I'm going to be joining him to the Indomitor kill team for a couple of reasons. First of all, this Inquisitor I have equipped with the psychic attack, his attack, his ranged shooting attack. It's called the Psychic Shockwave. It's a goofy little attack because it's a torrent, so it automatically hits. 18-inch range, which is pretty good. 2d6, which is pretty good for a torrent weapon. Usually you just have 1d6. So it's 2d6, but it's only strength 3, AP2, 1 damage, and it does do devastating wounds. Typically, he's pretty interesting when you attach him to, say, in the Imperial Agents Codex, attach him to Breachers that reroll all wounds when you target something on an objective. That means he can fish for those devastating wounds and kick out a few dev wounds. But when he joins the Indomitor kill team, a couple things are going to happen. First of all, when he fires his attack, if he's shooting it at the nearest eligible target, well, the Indomitor kill team gets +2 strength. So his strength 3 Psychic Shockwave goes to strength 5, which makes it a lot more viable into infantry. going from strength 3 to strength 5. And then when I want to overwatch with the Indomitor Kill Team, he's going to contribute quite a bit to that overwatch. The Indomitor Kill Team is great for Overwatch just because there's a lot of shots in there. If I go into an Oath target, I'm rerolling hits. The DeathWatch bolt rifles and heavy bolters, they all have lethal built into them, so any 6 is just automatically wound. So the Indomitor Kill Team has done a lot of good work in Overwatch for me, and the Inquisitor is just going to add to that. But the big benefit here is that he gives me, anytime I use a strat, anytime his unit is the target of a strat, I get 1 CP back if I roll a 3-up. So on a 3-up, I get a CP back. So if I have the Talon Strike team on the table with a captain, and I have the Indomitor Kill Team on the table with the Inquisitor, and I use the captain's ability to uppy-downy both the Talon Strike and the Indomitor, well, because his unit is the subject of a strat, on a 3-up, I will gain a CP. If that doesn't work, or I don't use the uppy-downy, like I said, I often use this unit to fire Overwatch. So on a 3-up, he'll get that CP back. Or obviously when I use any of the shooting strats, which are great for the Indomitor Kill Team with him, then I could possibly get that CP back. So it's just another way in the DeathWatch to generate some CP. We do have the fact that we can use the Captain and the Watchmaster's abilities for free CP or strat reduction. And we're just going to add him in here to get me some extra CP, because this is a CP-hungry army, and it loves to use those CP for all their shooting techs and their uppy-downy abilities. So hopefully he's going to pay off both in the damage output with his weapon going from strength 3 to strength 5, and with his CP regen. So that's it for the characters. Let's move on here. So for battle line, I have 2 of the DeathWatch veterans. They're identical squads today. I have kitted them out 100% for close combat. The models here aren't exactly WYSIWYG, but each one has 2 DeathWatch Thunderhammers. These things are great. 3 attacks apiece, hit on 4s, but rerolling 1s for the unit. Full rerolls if they're going to Necrons. They're strength 10, AP 2, flat 3 damage with dev wounds. Then we have the Sergeant having the Xenophase Blade and a Storm Shield. We have a regular guy with a Power Sword and a Storm Shield. And then we're going to have one guy with the Black Shield blades. So some twin-linked Power Swords there if they get to reroll the wounds. Like I said, we're going to have a Watchmaster leading one of these, and we're going to have the Judiciary leading another one that'll be up in Deep Strike with the Beacon and Chalice. And of course, the Watchmaster squad is going to go in a Rhino. The Rhino is so key for extending the threat range of these guys because they have their 3-inch disembark and their 6-inch move, and then they can advance and charge as well because of the Watchmaster, so it just makes them, gives them that bigger threat range. So we definitely have a Rhino in the list here as well. Then we've got 2 of the DeathWatch Terminator squads. These guys are great. They deep strike, of course, because they're Terminators. They have the homing beacon. So I can put that homing beacon on the table and rapid ingress the Terminators within 3 inches of that, and I do that for free. I can't use the rapid ingress multiple times, so if I'm using the Judiciary's rapid ingress and trying to rapid ingress for these guys, I can only do 1 unit. But it's a key thing that I could use if I needed to. The DeathWatch Terminators reroll their charge rolls. That's very handy for a unit that's coming in from Deep Strike. If I want to make that 9-inch charge, at least get free rerolls. When they complete a charge, enemies they get an engagement range with have to take battle shock tests, and Xenos have to do it at -1. And then, of course, the big thing with DeathWatch Terminators is that they can take 3 heavy weapons in a 5-man squad. It doesn't matter if you have a 5-man or 10-man squad. It's got 3 heavy weapons. So we got 3 Cyclones in the unit. They can either fire 2 crack missiles apiece or 2 frag missiles apiece. The other 2 guys will be DeathWatch Terminators with the Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, so they have the 4 wounds, just able to soak up a little bit of extra damage. These guys, going to get them in mid-board as soon as possible to get on objectives, have some kind of durability to kind of tank some damage and stay out there. Again, I'm trying to use them to score me primaries to make sure I have board control in the middle. Next, the Spectrus Kill Team. All right, guys, the Spectrus, the first time I'm running it in 10th edition. So the loadout today, we have 3 Eliminators. That's 3 guys with the las fusils. I'm not taking an Instigator bolt carbine. That lets you move, do a full move after you shoot, but it does not let you charge afterwards. And because we're attaching the Phobos Lieutenant on here, I thought we might as well go with 3 las fusils. So we have 3 las fusils in the unit. We're going to have 3 infiltrators. You have to have at least 3 of the infiltrators, so they have their infiltrator bolt rifles. that are plussed up by DeathWatch. So they're strength 5, AP 1, 1 damage. They don't really have the extra AP. They don't have any AP on their close combat weapons, so I wish I could take fewer of them, but I can put one upgrade on them. So one of them does have the Helix Gauntlet. So it's giving this 10-man unit 6-up Feel No Pain just to give them a little bit of durability there. And then we have 4 of the Inquisitor models. Their bolters ignore cover, and they've been plussed up to be DeathWatch Oculus Bolt Carbine, so that means they're strength 5, AP 1, 1 damage. So they're AP 1 and ignoring cover, which is kind of fun, so they'll shoot a little bit. And the Inquisitor models do have the upgraded close combat. So they have 3 attacks apiece, only strength 4, but they are AP 1, 1 damage, and they do get sustained built into their close combat attacks. Because the squad's going to be led by the Phobos Lieutenant, they'll get lethal hits, hopefully make them do a little bit more damage. So they are kind of a middling shooting threat because they do have the last fusils and all their bolters are at AP 1, and the Inquisitor ones are ignoring cover. So they can do some shooting damage, and then they do have some close combat mixed in there. Everybody punches like a Space Marine, but the Inquisitor ones do have the extra AP. I thought about going all close combat and having, adding some Reavers in here because they do have 4 attacks at AP 1, but I didn't want to pass up the last fusils because they do shoot pretty hard. In early game, it can be nice to put some damage out there in the middle of the table. And again, led by the Phobos Lieutenant, at least they'll get lethal hits, and they'll have the ability to move after they shoot and then still charge. So interested to see how they perform today. Now, this unit's special rules, they can uppy downy, although they don't naturally get deep strike. So they uppy downy, they just go into reserves and come on from a table edge. Then next, we do have our damage outputting, a little suite of units here. So we do have a Thunderstrike Speeder. The Thunderstrike Speeder has some decent little bit of shooting. He does hit on 2s, which is kind of nice. So his ranged weapons, he's got some missiles, 1 missile shot that's strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus 1. Some Las Talons, 2 Las Talon shots that are strength 9, AP 3, D6 plus 1. And then a twin Icarus rocket pod. So he can put out a little bit of damage, but once he shoots, after he shoots, he picks one thing that he hit, and then the rest of the army gets +1 to wound into vehicles and monsters for the rest of that phase. So it gives me a little bit of vehicle punch here to go into, like I said, vehicles and monsters. And against Necrons, we've always got some vehicles and monsters to deal with. So he'll be there. He also has nice utility because he does have a 14-inch move and fly. And so if I don't have a good target for him to go into, or I don't really need it, then I'll have him scooch around the table. He can get on objectives. He can do actions, that sort of thing. So he can have some utility play too. But for 150 points, I really want him to contribute to the army's damage. And then we've got our Indomitor Kill Team. I freaking love the Indomitor Kill Team, guys. Their special rule is when they shoot at the nearest eligible target, and that's on a model-by-model basis, so you can kind of game that by when you uppy-downy them, kind of positioning them. So some models can see 1 unit, and other models can only see another unit. But on a model-by-model basis, when they shoot the nearest eligible target, they get +2 to their strength. And then, of course, when they charge, they get +2 to their strength on the charge. Meaning those aggressor fists go up to strength 10 and twin linked. It means they can really punch. But even the guys with the bare hands, they can punch pretty decent too when they go to strength 6. So the weapon loadout here, we have 3 aggressors with the bolters and the grenade launchers. We have 3 eradicators, so 1 multi-melta and 2 regular melta rifles. We've got the 2 DeathWatch bolters. Man, these DeathWatch bolt guns are really strong. In the Indomitor Kill Team, the DeathWatch heavy bolt rifles are strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage. 2 shots apiece, but they do have lethal built into them. And then the DeathWatch heavy bolters, the heavy bolters are 3 shots apiece. They hit on 3s, still heavy, so if they stand still, they hit on 2s. They have both lethal and sustained, strength 5, AP 2, flat 3 damage. So they can really kick out a lot of damage. And of course, when they go to +2 strength and shooting the nearest eligible target, you can't really call them a heavy bolter anymore when they're at strength 7. So that is our Indomitor. And then we do finally have the Talon Strike Kill Team. Talon Strike is 5 Inceptors and 5 Jump Intercessors. These guys, when they drop in, they get +1 AP to both their shooting and fighting, but only on the turn they drop in. And they get Lance. I don't know how relevant that is. I don't know if I'm going to be trying to charge them into things. If there's some little unit they need to clean up, I probably could try to charge them, but we're just going for a 9-inch charge in that case. It occasionally does happen. It's kind of funny when they punch harder than they should. But really, we just want those Plasma Inceptors to get up to AP 4 when they drop in. When they're overcharged, they're AP 3. With their bonus rule, they go to AP 4. If I spend the strat to give them the extra AP, they go to AP 5, which is hilarious, unless they have an invuln. So, yeah, their special rule definitely gives them the extra AP in shooting, and sometimes when they make a charge, they get that extra AP and that lands in combat. That'll be handy because they're going to be joined by a captain with a power fist, so he will get pretty good on the charge if they do make it in there. And of course, the shenanigans with this unit are that we've got 5 plasma inceptors, but there are also 3 plasma pistols on the jump pack intercessors. So when I fire everything and overcharge anything, if I roll a couple ones, I can take them in the little jump pack intercessors before I start taking them on the inceptors, just to keep those inceptors around a little bit longer. All right, guys, that is it. That is the list. All right, so here's what I want to see today. I want to see the Spectrus earn their points. They don't have to kill their points value. I don't really expect them to do that, but I want them to kind of control the mid-board early in the game. The Lieutenant and Phobos Army getting the Thief of Secrets is hilarious. Another good enhancement for this unit would be the Beacon Angelus. Although you probably want to infiltrate them turn 1, the Beacon Angelus gives them Deep Strike. So when they use their uppy-downy ability, normally they just go into reserves and have to come in on the table edge, but the Beacon Angelus gives them Deep Strike. So when you pick them off the table, you can bring them down anywhere on the table, not just within 6 inches of table edge. That would be an interesting enhancement to try. Let me know if you've tried it. Let me know if it's worth it. Again, sinking a lot of points into an uppy-downy unit like this. But today we're going for the damage output. We're going for the punch-in. We're going to have some fun with it. Like I said, we know that the Watchmaster is great with the Thief of Secrets. We know that the Judicar is great with the Thief of Secrets. Let's find out if the Phobos Lieutenant can have some fun with the Thief of Secrets. So I just want to see them give me that early board control, maybe pick up some infiltrating units, pick up some scouting units, do a little bit of damage into a light infantry unit, maybe contribute some damage. They are a kill team, so they benefit when we go with lethals or sustained. And then other than that, I just want to see if I have the damage output I need. I know I have more board control now. I have a couple different the DeathWatch veteran squads that go out, charge out, get on objectives, do some fighting. I have the Spectrus Kill Team to be out there. The Terminators can deep strike in and get on objectives or make charges onto objectives because they reroll their charges. I know I can kind of do a little bit better with board control in this list. The question is, do I have enough of that sweet damage output that the DeathWatch are known for when I just have 1 Indomitor kill team and 1 Talon Strike kill team? We're going to find out today. So follow me over to the battle report. Let's see how they do.